next session is on job scheduling on Google Cloud.
Today, we have the privilege of calling an exceptional guest speaker, someone who has been the forefront of technological innovation and has deep understanding of cloud computing. He is a Google developer expert in GCP and also the lead team at GDG Cloud Kolkata.
He has authored 2 books, Hands-on Python Deep Learning for Web and Mobile Deep Learning with TensorFlow Lite, ML, Kit and Flutter. So please join me in welcoming our special guest, the Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Anubhav Singh.
Hello, check. Yeah. Audible? In the front? In the back? Give me a wave. Yeah, looks good. Everyone is happy to wave. Cool. Yeah. Hi, Anubhav Singh here. And I'll have to say that again. No worries. We'll do this a lot in this session. Okay? How many of you are not comfortable with Hindi? थोड़ा थैंक यू थोड़ा हिंदी रखेंगे ठीक है ये करना है बीच बीच में ठीक है बहुत सीरियस टॉक सुनिए आज थोड़ा मस्ती करेंगे थोड़ा लाइट रखेंगे ठीक है बहुत ही सिंपल सा टॉपिक है मेरा पॉइंट ये है कि तुम्हें टॉपिक समझ में आना चाहिए कि कुछ बोल के गया था ठीक है चलो अनुभव सिंह को फाउंडर डायनोपाई गूगल डेवलपर एक्सपर्ट गूगल क्लाउड बंच ऑफ अदर थिंग्स कुछ चीज़ में इंटरेस्टेड हो तो यू कैन कनेक्ट विद मी You can just scan this QR code, take a photo of it if you want to. बाद में काम आएगा. Hopefully. Anyway, चलो. Why the topic? Why the topic? Job scheduling. Because if you don't schedule your jobs correctly, this is what you will face. Right? How many of you came late today? We know some people who failed at job scheduling. No worries. I'll hope that this will help you. Chalo. You know, this is what actually happens, right? If you are not setting your alarm on time, then you will definitely not reach on time, right? So let's make sure that does not happen. How do you do it in cloud? We'll explore that today. And in general, what is job scheduling? Job scheduling, in the simplest, is that there are some commands which need to be run at a certain, either at a certain time or maybe in response to something which has already happened in the system, right? System में say for example a new user signed up, then you got an email कि हाँ नया user आया है इसका स्वागत करो, ठीक है? होता है when you go and log in to a new website email आता है सबको, right? You go to say for example xyz.com, you create an account and then immediately एक email आता है welcome to xyz, we will make your life the best it is, right? ऐसा एक ईमेल आता है सारे प्रोडक्ट को लगता है वो बेस्ट है राइट सो उस तरह का कैसे करना है और भी चीज़ें होती है बैकअप मेंटेनेंस डिजास्टर रिकवरी कुछ चीज़ क्रैश हो गई तो ऑटोमेटिकली कैसे रिकवर करना है सो ऑल दिस थिंग्स आर पार्ट ऑफ जॉब शेड्यूलिंग एंड वील बी लुकिंग एट सम एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ हाउ दीज कैन बी डन राइट एंड द ईजिएस्ट वन इज टाइम बेस्ड शेड्यूलिंग राइट सबसे ईजी होता है टाइम बेस्ड शेड्यूलिंग कोई एक एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हो टाइम बेस्ड शेड्यूलिंग का एनीवन वांट्स टू ट्राई Jaldi, jaldi, we don't have a lot of time. So raise your hand very quickly if you have an answer. Cron jobs. Yes? Okay, cron jobs. मोबाइल में अलार्म लगाया है टाइम बेस्ड शेड्यूलिंग है ना वो सिंपलेस्ट राइट मोबाइल में अलार्म लगा दिया सुबह 7 बजे उठना है 7 बजे अलार्म हुआ टाइम बेस्ड शेड्यूलिंग राइट एंड देन ऑब्वियसली इन कंप्यूटर टर्म्स cron jobs and then a Google Cloud version of it, Cloud Scheduler. I'll come to why it is actually very good, but then let's just call it Google Cloud version of Cloud Scheduler. Right, and obviously, something like this every day. Event-based scheduling. Event-based scheduling happens when there's an event which happens in the software system, and in response to that event, something is done. Right? Say for example, you created an account, you got an email, welcome to XYZ product. Right? Or else, for example, someone breached into your Google account and you immediately get a notification saying that, hey, we detected someone tried to log into your account. Is this you? ये आता है email whenever someone tries to log into your account or else if you travel to a new city and you try to log into your own account and Google says मैं नहीं पहचानता, right? So this is what happens, right? Event-based scheduling. In action, like if you do an action on the system gives you a reaction, right? Something very similar to Newton's third law. ठीक है? Something has happened, in reaction कुछ एक होगा. That is an event-triggered job. Hybrid scheduling. Now come to mix these two, right? Time-based scheduling and event-based scheduling. इन दोनों को mix करेंगे, ठीक है? Think about your local किराना store. आपके लोकल किराना स्टोर पे से फॉर एग्जांपल शॉपकीपर सुबह सुबह 10 किलो राइस लेके आया, ठीक है? एंड देन ड्यूरिंग द डे पीपल वेर बाइंग द राइस फ्रॉम हिम इन यूनिट्स ऑफ 1 kg, ठीक है? सपोज 5 लोग खरीद के गए, उसके पास कितना बचा? 5, राइट? एंड देन सिंस पीपल आर बाइंग इट, every time someone buys 1 unit kg of rice, the counter of how much rice he has remaining should keep decreasing, right? वो कैसा हो गया? वो job based हो गया, right? Event based हो गया वो. Every time someone buys 1 kg of rice, that's the event, buying 1 kg of rice. In response to that, the job should do reduce inventory, right? Reduce inventory किया, 1 kg कम होते गया. And then at the end of the day, the shopkeeper knows this is the number of units I have sold today, and these are the number of units I should buy for the next day, right? This is something which is happening once, probably at midnight. That is time-based scheduling. Now, in case of maintaining that inventory, we are actually looking at a hybrid job system, right? In which every time an event of buying the rice occurs, that's actually an event-driven job, and every time the reduce inventory happens, and then finally once in a day the replenish inventory event happens, right? So that is hybrid scheduling. And then obviously job scheduling is helpful with monitoring and login, because if you have the right monitoring and login in place, you can always choose to trigger actions based on whatever is going on to the system. And these may perform alerting, these may perform system health reporting, right? You might have seen जब भी XYZ service which we may use, maybe WhatsApp down हो जाता है कभी कभी, right? And the moment that happens, we go to 2 places. एक तो WhatsApp का status page और दूसरा Twitter, right? So both of these places are actually monitoring it continuously, and वहाँ पे alert raise होता है, right? Also, if you are implementing monitoring on your system, please make sure that you have some sort of feedback system attached for yourself, right? बहुत लोगों ने Google Cloud में प्रोजेक्ट बनाया, उसमें मॉनिटरिंग होती है, ये सबको पता है. कितने लोगों ने लगाया है बजट लिमिट्स एंड मॉनिटरिंग? 1 or 5 people there, right? So this is what I'm saying. If you are doing monitoring, attach some emails and some triggers to it so that you are getting the benefit of that monitoring. ऐसा नहीं हो कि मंथ के एंड में जब 4 लाख का बिल आया तो पता चला oh shit, right? ये क्या हो गया? Anyway, error handling and retries. Whenever your system crashes, it should generate some kind of event that error has happened, or maybe even if just the system dies down entirely, then the monitoring should inform you that hey, your system has crashed and this is time for you to either automate some jobs which try to repair it, or else inform the administrator that the application has gone, now come in and get it fixed. And in case you have auto healing systems, because this is what job scheduling will allow you to do, in case you're monitoring the errors on your system, you will be having an auto healing system which will make sure that every time the application crashes, it is rebooted and then it is brought back up so that your application keeps serving the clients which come later. This is the kind of resilience your system should have. But then yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Resource allocation, right? If you're doing proper monitoring on the system, then you can also choose to have resource allocated based on how much your system is under pressure, right? Say for example, at any point of time, if the CPU uses of your application goes above 80%, then you can trigger a job which says that spawn another instance. And when the load on both these instances goes down below 20%, you can choose to trigger a job which says, reduce one instance, let's move all the traffic to a single one, right? So all these can be done if you have proper job scheduling in place. And if you have a lot of traffic on your system, then you might be into this case. But for those of you who understand this meme, well and good. Otherwise, I'll suggest you to study replicas of instances. Anyway, let's come to job scheduling on GCP, right? How to do job scheduling specifically on GCP. There are a lot of popular services. Some of them are not mentioned here, right? There's like Cloud Tasks and Composer, which are not really mentioned here. I have mentioned some of the popular ones and the easy to use ones, and then some supporting tools. right? So Cloud Scheduler, as I said, it's a fully managed cron service kind of from Google's side. Now here's the interesting thing, right? While cron is something which runs specifically inside the VMs, inside a single machine, right? It is not possible for anyone to manage it from outside unless you build your own management layer. But then that is what Cloud Scheduler makes it easy for you. You can just have very simple cron jobs running centrally on your Google Cloud account, and you don't have to go into each VM individually to manage them, right? And I think this is a great tool. In fact, I have been using it a lot, and trust me, I have stopped going into my VMs and scheduling jobs there, because if you schedule jobs there, if you don't implement proper monitoring and stuff, then you are not going to know when your cron jobs executed, when they failed, in case they failed, right? For what reason they did fail. So all these things have been taken care of just by Cloud Scheduler, and it's very simple and it's very, very powerful at the same time. And the Cloud Scheduler use cases could be something like this. Periodic maintenance jobs, basically anything which your cron job was doing, you can just shift it directly to Cloud Scheduler, and you can have just the same things executed, but with better clarity and better insight into how these processes are executing, how much time are they taking, when are they crashing, if they are crashing, how many times they have run in the past, and what was the response generated by the script when these cron jobs ran, right? And then there, hello, check, yeah. Okay, so here's a very simple cron job meme. Scheduling job download rain at star stars to star star. How many of you understand that string? One person in the back. Okay, the upcoming slides are going to be very nice for you. Right? For the rest of you. Yeah, I'm not going to explain that string. Sorry for that. It's something which you can just Google up anytime. And I don't think anyone even tries to remember cron strings meaning. Yeah, but then let's do an exercise. Let's do a small exercise. Okay, scan this. देखो इंटरनेट चल रहा है एयरटेल का सबसे अच्छा है. मेरा 5G चल रहा है एयरटेल. स्कैन कर लो. एक पेज आएगा उसमें GCCD पुणे दिख रहा है. क्लिक करोगे कोई फायदा नहीं है. लेट मी टर्न ऑन द पोल. ठीक है, अब क्लिक करो. You see an interface something like this, right? In which I have asked you to choose what you understand is the meaning of that particular cron string. And while you are doing that, let me tell you something very quickly about this particular page, that it's completely based on event-driven jobs, right? And whatever you are tapping, it's actually executing functions in the background. And whenever you tap, only then those functions are executed, otherwise they are not executed. Oh, fun. Yes, you can also see that this is actually a live polling system, and the results are displayed live. For those of you who are very curious and interested in web development, the source code is available down here. At the bottom, I have put the source code for this repository. And, oh, lots of votes coming in. We can actually do an attendee count if all of you vote. So, yeah, runs at 2 a.m., runs every 2 minutes every day, 144 votes. Clear majority, but unfortunately, majority does not win in technical things. So that is not the answer. The answer is actually for the 18 odd people who voted for runs on second day of every month. Who did that? Who voted for that? Yeah, you guys know your cron jobs. For people who voted at Ganesh Utsav, what is the deal? What's the plan here? Anyway, I'll leave that up to you. I think that's a great festival. And obviously with Ganesha in, everything runs. So I think that's good. Anyway, let's move to serverless cloud functions, right? Cloud functions are very nifty for executing single job functions on the cloud at, what we were actually using for that was that every time you clicked a button, there was a cloud function which was running to update the data on the polling site. Oh, wait, are you still voting by any chance? Let me turn this off. Yeah, I'm going to save it as a reminder of how smart our audience was here today. Yes, so cloud functions are very useful for nifty executions for single jobs. Say for example, you came to an app, वो app में आपको मिला, like enter your phone number, you will get an SMS to log in. You entered your phone number, there was one job to do. That was send an OTP. Sometimes some websites fail at that. But then that is not the concern, right? The point was there was one job to do, and for that, cloud functions is really the best tool to use, right? You just input one phone number, one OTP has to be sent. That is it, nothing else, right? So cloud functions is a great use case for that. And it can do a couple of more things for you. It can do real-time image, or let's just say document processing, data processing. It can do that in real time for you. And transforming data on the fly. You're probably sending in some large amount of request, and that is being simplified into a simpler request. That can be done. Notification systems, the real-time dashboard you saw, that was done through Firebase, so kind of involving cloud functions there as well. And then Google Cloud PubSub, messaging stream. So if you want to have event-driven job schedulings in which, based on whatever stream is being received, stream of data is being received, you choose to perform an action whenever a certain item comes in. You can always choose PubSub. This is a great example for IoT-based applications in which you have lots of data coming in at a time, and then you have to choose when to do what. Cool, let's move on to, for those of you who do not know PubSub, here's a very quick example. If you know radio, in which you have publishers, which are basically radio jockeys who are publishing to a certain channel, for example, 93.5, right? So those are the channels, and then you as a subscriber join to those channels, and you can listen to them while they're publishing data. And the moment you step out, it does not mean the publishing has ended. It's still going on. You're just not listening, right? For those of you who are new to PubSub, this is how it works. Think about radio. Anyway, cloud workflows, I think this is one of the most powerful tools in the arsenal that if you want to build very complex workflows in which, say for example, a job happens, and then based on how that job executed or what was the output that job produced, based on that you have to choose between executing the next task or maybe pass data between multiple steps of the job, then you want to use cloud workflows because it makes it really, really simple to chain a lot of jobs in a sequence, right? And you could have complex data processing pipelines done through cloud workflows, or else multi-step APIs. Say for example, you go to a website, you try to log in, it first checks whether you exist or not in the system, and then it checks your credentials, then it checks your other parameters in case you have to specify, say for example, two-factor, and then all of these once checked, then it allows you to log in. These are multi-step API integrations, and for these you can use cloud workflows. And then automating business processes, if you have a longer process in which you have multiple steps in which you need to check whether X step executed properly before moving on to Y step, then you might want to use cloud workflows. And this is what cloud workflows can actually do for you. Whatever complex request that is coming into your system, it can take that complex request, it can modify it, trim it down, make it a simpler request. Your web server will have to work less to process whatever request is being filtered by cloud workflows. And cloud workflow can actually offload the amount of tasks that your server has to do for serving the business logic. Cool, so let's come to the final part. I still have 1 minute to go, so we'll kind of rush through this. Using crons is the easiest way to create jobs on a system. You go inside a VM, you put on your cron tab files, and then you don't log anything, and you are very happy, right? As I said, it's a great way of, burning down your system. So please do not do that. In case you are creating cron jobs, make sure you have proper logging in place and monitoring after you have done the login. right? And then you can use in framework events. A lot of frameworks provide within the framework events. Say for example, if you use Laravel, it has events built in. For people who do Django, it has signals. For people who are using TensorFlow, I think TensorFlow has triggers, right? So different names, but they all exist in different kind of frameworks that we use in today's date, and you can use those. Then there's Cloud Scheduler, very simple, time-based scheduler, and there's a G-Cloud command line code that you can put in to create a very simple cloud scheduler job. Obviously, right now this code is not making a lot of sense to you because you cannot do anything about it. But then at the end of this presentation, I'll give you a QR code to copy this deck, and you can then just go ahead and copy paste things. You can also choose to do cloud functions with PubSub. And this actually allows you to trigger cloud functions in response to events happening on PubSub. And for that, first of all, you will have to create a function, which is something called process data. It could be processing any kind of data. And then after that, you have to trigger it through your my data topic, cloud PubSub topic. Right, so there's a bit of setup in this, and you might want to look at it with more details later on. The title that you would be searching for is using cloud functions with PubSub. And yes, the final part, when to use which method, when to choose between the different job scheduling methods on Google Cloud. Here's a very simple algorithm, right? If you're going to run just one single script, and it needs to be run, at fixed time intervals, and you don't have to change it often. It's a very simple script. It's you can just implement basic logging and monitoring on it. Then just go for cron jobs. You don't have to actually use anything else for it, right? You're probably not likely to change it. It's something which is going to run forever on its own, probably has built-in error handling mechanisms, so you don't have to worry about it as well. Just go for cron jobs. You don't have to involve anything fancy. But then in case you're probably going to change its execution mechanism often, right? When is it going to execute? Or maybe you want to monitor it at depth. Then you might want to use Cloud Scheduler for that. And then if your event framework supports triggers, use them. Because they are native, they are going to run faster any day. But then in case event triggers are not supported, you can always use cloud functions, which are very similar to event triggers. Event triggers usually execute one function, and that same thing you can do with using cloud functions as well. And then if your system is emitting or receiving a stream of messages continuously, and you need to decide based on, say, 1 million messages coming in, you need to decide, okay, 100 of these are actually invocations for a function to run, then you might want to use Cloud PubSub. There are obviously other alternatives for PubSub as well available in the market. And finally, if you have a very complex workflows APIs, multi-step APIs, then you might just want to go for cloud workflows. So that's it. Thank you. And yeah, we'll not take questions right now. We'll take it offline. And yeah, thank you for being an amazing audience. I was here in 2022. That is why this meme. And yeah, for those of you who can read Hindi and who cannot, just please translate. Yeah, you can connect with me on any of the platforms you want to. I have the same handle everywhere. And finally, if you want to get this deck to copy the commands, then you need to take a photo of this. Thank you.
We are truly fortunate to have your expertise and insights with us today. Thank you, sir, for such an amazing session.
Now I will request Shailesh Chaskar sir to please come on the stage and felicitate our speaker.